It was a late September evening in Lafayette, Indiana. The kind of night when the streets are quiet, homes glow warmly under porch lights, and most families are winding down for bed. But inside one house, something unthinkable had happened. Something that would leave this community shaken for years to come. Please comment where you are watching us from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notification. On September 20th, 2022, 32-year-old Todd Morgan was found brutally murdered. His body bore the signs of a savage beating, and the scene looked at first like the aftermath of a break-in. But the deeper police dug, the clearer it became. This was no random act of violence. This betrayal was cold, deliberate, and devastating. Todd was known as the kind of man who would help anyone. He worked steadily, stayed close to his family, and had a reputation for loyalty. Friends described him as generous and patient, maybe even too patient, because in matters of the heart, Todd gave more than he ever received. For over 2 years, Todd had been in a relationship with Courtney White, a woman he believed was his partner, his confidant, and his future. From the outside, they looked like any other couple navigating young adulthood. But behind closed doors, cracks had begun to show. Courtney wasn't happy, and instead of walking away, she chose a far darker path. At 10:43 p.m., a frantic 911 call came through. Courtney White was on the line, crying and gasping for air. She told dispatchers that her boyfriend Todd had been attacked during a home invasion. Police rushed to the scene. When they arrived, they found Todd lifeless. The house was in disarray, but not in the way a real break-in would look. Nothing of value was taken. The windows were intact. The door showed no sign of forced entry. Something about the scene felt staged. Detectives began with the obvious questions. Who would want Todd dead? Did he have enemies? Was this a robbery gone wrong? But as they interviewed Courtney, their doubts grew. Her story was shaky. She claimed she saw shadows moving in the dark, but couldn't describe the intruder. She insisted the killer ran off into the night. Yet neighbors reported hearing nothing, no shouting, no scuffle, no break-in noises. And then came the biggest red flag, Courtney's phone. In the hours leading up to Todd's murder, Courtney had been texting another man. Their messages weren't about friendship. They were about plans. They discussed Todd, his schedule, and chillingly, ways to handle the situation. One message read, "I'm ready." Another, "We'll find a way." The implication was clear. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a conspiracy. Investigators soon uncovered the identity of Courtney's secret lover. He was younger, impulsive, and easily influenced. Prosecutors would later argue that Courtney manipulated him, fueling his emotions, promising him love, and convincing him that Todd was standing in their way. For weeks, the two had exchanged messages, laying out the groundwork for Todd's demise. They talked about when to strike, how to make it look random, and how life would be better without Todd in the picture. And on September 20th, they put that plan into action. When detectives brought Courtney back for questioning, her demeanor shifted. At first, she wept. Then, as evidence piled up, her tone hardened. She became defensive, even combative. Police showed her the phone records, the incriminating texts, the timeline that didn't fit her story. Cornered, Courtney scrambled to explain it all away, but the truth was too overwhelming. By the time the case went to trial, prosecutors had built a devastating case. They argued that Courtney White orchestrated Todd's murder, manipulating her lover into carrying out the brutal attack. The jury heard testimony about the text messages, the digital footprints, and the inconsistencies in her 911 call. They saw through the tears. They saw through the lies. It wasn't long before they reached a verdict. Guilty. Courtney White was convicted of murder and conspiracy. Her lover was also sentenced. For Todd Morgan's family, the verdict was bittersweet. Justice was served, but it couldn't bring him back. They had to live with the painful reality that the woman Todd had trusted with his heart was the same woman who plotted his death. In court, one family member whispered through tears, "We just want people to remember Todd, not her." And that's the part that lingers. Todd wasn't a headline. He was a son, a friend, a man whose kindness was exploited by someone who should have cherished it. This case leaves us with a haunting truth. Sometimes the greatest dangers don't come from strangers lurking in the dark. They come from the people we invite into our homes, our lives, and our hearts. Todd Morgan's story is a reminder that betrayal can wear a mask of love, and when it does, the consequences can be deadly. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notification. Thanks for watching.